2016 marked the 5th anniversary of Train Adventures. This episode here promises to bring you back the 5th anniversary episode into a two-part episode of Series 2. What do you think of the trains, Chelsea?
They're remarkable pieces of engineering history.
In this episode we uncover the loss of the 5th anniversary special episode, utilising the Epping and Ongar Railways Diesel Gala 2016 and the Severn Valley Railways Pacific Power Gala, witnessing the return of the world's most famous steam locomotive, Flying Scotsman.
I think it's the most famous locomotive in the world. I've seen it running and the engines of its class, I think, all my life. And when I heard it had got to be sold as scrap, I thought it would be very nice to save it from that fate if I could. I'm hoping to run it on special trains from time to time, possibly also hire it out to engineering societies, exhibitions, that kind of thing.
Again and again, Alan Pegler, in his footplate finery, retold the story of how he came to save the lady of his dreams from a fate worse than death, ignominious dismissal to the scrap heap. Flying Scotsman had been groomed here many times before, on such celebrated occasions as the inauguration of the non-stop run of the Flying Scotsman train between London and Edinburgh in 1928, and the high-speed test run to Leeds and back in 1934, when she became the first steam locomotive officially to record a speed of 100 miles per hour. On this occasion, she did the run to Leeds in a few seconds under 2 hours 32 minutes, a time that has never since been better. And now it is a sad goodbye from the faithful friends who had tended her over the years at Top Shed and come to regard her with real affection. For the driver, these were anxious moments as the cameramen crowded to the very rails. But Flying Scotsman was away without mishap and dead on time.
The most famous loco of them all, reborn. The Flying Scotsman, back on track and back in steam. It might not be breaking speed records anytime soon, but this is the locomotive that inspired a nation, and it's back for all to see.
The Flying Scotsman has returned. Dad, we must go and see it. Our destination? The Severn Valley Railway. Here we are at Bridgnorth Station, and the first locomotive we come across is a Class 52 Western. With the Hymex and warships already in service but providing underpowered for top link services, BR Western region needed a higher powered locomotives for these trains, so the Class 52 Western locomotives were constructed between 1961 and 1964. This particular example, number D1062 Western Courier, was built at Crewe Works on the 6th of May 1963 and was withdrawn from service in 1974. It's now preserved here at the Severn Valley Railway and owned by the Western Locomotive Association.
I'm going to struggle to get a shot of it.
Anyone that's on the train with the tickets needs to start reboarding.
And getting a shot of this celebrity locomotive was very difficult indeed, as Bridgnorth platform was absolutely crowded with passengers and enthusiasts taking photos of this iconic locomotive. The second celebrity locomotive at this event departs with a train bound for Kidderminster. We'll introduce this locomotive later on in the programme. The Flying Scotsman, the world's most famous steam locomotive and the A3 Pacific known by all. The locomotive was completed in 1923. Constructed by the Great Northern Railway, it was built as an A1, initially carrying the GNR number 1472, because the LNER had not yet decided on a system-wide numbering scheme. The locomotive ran with a newly constructed corridor tender between April 1928 and October 1936, after which it reverted to the original type. In July 1938 it was paired with a streamlined non-corridor tender and ran with this type until withdrawal. On the 22nd of August 1928, an improved version of this Pacific type, classified A3, appeared. Older A1 locomotives were later rebuilt to conform. Although we didn't get to ride any of the trains at the Pacific Power Gala on this particular weekend, we went lineside to do some train spotting. Here is our first location at Erdington Bank.
Right, shall I go? I don't mind if I miss this one. I'd rather get set up. Right, I'll be back in 10 minutes, yeah?
Yeah. First up, looking right at home on this Great Western Railway, is 7802 Bradley Manor, a Manor class locomotive heading with a train bound for Kidderminster. About 20 minutes later, another Manor class battles up Erdington Bank towards Bridgnorth in the form of 7812 Earlstoke Manor.
You all right, Dad?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Having a good time train spotting?
Yeah. I'm a bit bored though. It's a long time between trains.
You got any good photos?
Yep.
Next up with a train bound for Kidderminster is 34027 Tor Valley Bullied Light Pacific locomotive. Heading up with a train bound for Bridgnorth is 34053 Sir Keith Park. You can see the Severn Valley Railway are developing quite a pattern here for this event, as two GWR locomotives pass each other and two Southern Region locomotives pass each other. What's next, I wonder? Earlstoke Manor now heads down on its return journey to Kidderminster via Erdington. Next up will be the two London and North Eastern Railway locomotives, and is where we would introduce our second star guest of this episode, number 60163 Tornado. Tornado was built in Darlington, County Durham, England, completed in 2008. Tornado was the first such locomotive built in the United Kingdom since Evening Star, the last steam locomotive built by British Railways in the 1960s. It is the only example of the A1 Peppercorn Class A1 locomotive in existence, the entirety of the original production batch having been scrapped without preservation. The locomotive was built by the A1 Steam Locomotive Trust, a charitable trust founded in 1990 to build Tornado and possibly further locomotives. Tornado was conceived as an evolution of the A1 Peppercorn Class A1, incorporating improvements that would have been likely had steam continued. Heading down Erdington Bank with a train bound for Kidderminster is famous 60103 Flying Scotsman, with a lovely Gresley teak rake, making this a very authentic scene. Our next location for our train spotting session is Erdington Holt, which is located just a little bit further down from the bank. Battling up the bank, Bradley Manor storms through Erdington Holt. This 34053 Sir Keith Park heads through the station with a train bound for Kidderminster. A nice low down shot here as Tor Valley heads through the station with a train bound for Bridgnorth. A while later, 7802 returns, this time with a train for Kidderminster.
Oh, sorry, let this train go by, so we'll never go, you can.
An interesting attraction at Erdington Station today is this track testing device. Staff of the railway today are offering rides on this contraption. So what do? I decide to give it a try. Making a hell lot of noise, Earlstoke Manor heads up the bank, past the station with a train bound for Bridgnorth. Next up, the Atlantic Coast, Tor Valley, heads with a train for Kidderminster. A while later we see Flying Scotsman again with its camping kettle whistle, heading through Erdington Holt with a train for Bridgnorth.
Oh, it's backwards.
Rounding off Saturday of the event, Tornado heads through the Holt with a train for Kidderminster, looking very smart on the teak coach set.
we are at the Blue Inn. We're heading to our room in Redditch. And I believe we go up the stairs, which unfortunately we have to bring the cases up. Yeah. This is alright in here.
Yeah, hey. Not quite a luxury, but not too shabby.
The next day, on the Sunday before heading back home, we headed over to Bullied for our last train spotting session. The first train we see of the day is no other than Tornado, heading uphill towards Kidderminster. Stoke Manor now coasts down towards Bullied Station. Battling up the bank with a train bound for Kidderminster is the other Manor class at the event, 7802 Bradley Manor. Tornado now returns via Bullied with a train for Bridgnorth. Bradley Manor now sets out again with a train via Bullied for Bridgnorth. The GWR 7800 class or Manor class is a class of 460 steam locomotive. They were designed as a lighter version of the GWR Grange class, giving them a wider route availability like the Granges. The Manors used parts from the GWR 4300 class Moguls, but just on the first batch of 20. 20 were built between 1938 and 1939. The Southern Beasts now arrive with trains bound for Kidderminster. Starting off with 34053 Sakeith Park. Tor Valley later on follows. And undoubtedly the locomotive we finished the programme on is world's most famous steam locomotive Flying Scotsman, as it heads up the bank with a train for Kidderminster on a perfect looking teak rake. Oh, yes. So here we are. That was the revisit to the 5th anniversary year. Yes, I know we had, we had more trains that we saw that year. We had, we had things like Class 45s, Class 25s, Class 26s. We had all sorts going on that year. Plenty of trains to see. But, however, this episode was about the 5th anniversary episode, and we've brought it to you back. So that ends and concludes our 2-part episode on the 5th year. So we do hope you've enjoyed this episode of Railriders, and hope that this has inspired you to watch more episodes in this series. Goodbye for now. 2018 is here. Let's go for a bit of change of scenery with some modern attraction. Ooh, a model railway show in Stevenage. Oh yes, 37 at Ealing.